And welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Netflix's new documentary that just dropped today, Killer Sally. Let me know in the comments below, have you heard of this? Have you heard of the story? I wasn't aware of this. I thought it was very interesting. Let's jump in. Interviews with friends, family and Sally McNeil herself chart a bodybuilding couple's rocky marriage and its shocking end in a Valentine's Day murder. So thankfully Netflix doesn't drag this one out. I was worried about that because we've had a number of docudramas or documentaries. They've been 6 or 7 episodes and they've really dragged the story out, and even with the documentary itself there hasn't been a proper conclusion. So many times they'll take something in a documentary series or documentary story that they want to tell, there hasn't been a conclusion to the case or the person that they're following or the killer. There needs to be a conclusion. Like Tiger King season 2 really didn't have anywhere to go, so I'm always a little bit worried or skeptical as I step into a new Netflix documentary. However, this time there's a clear middle and end with 3 episodes. The first hour really begins that story of Sally meeting her husband, coming from both being Marines, both being in the military, and she meets her husband to be, who is the bodybuilder. He's going to be like the king bodybuilder, to what seemed to be a match made in heaven. They were perfect for each other. They spurred each other on. It was quite nice to see footage of them explaining what bodybuilding is, because some people have this persona, and I certainly don't understand bodybuilding to the extent that they were talking about it in the documentary, and how bodybuilding is another art form. You want to use your body as a template and craft it into this chiseled thing that you want it to become and look like, and that's where it comes from. Perfectly honing your body to every sort of muscle possibility you can show off. If you watch Arnold Schwarzenegger's Pumping Iron, it's the thing that kind of started the revolution of bodybuilding, made it, kind of go into where it is now. That was really the big thing that started off. And so that first episode introduces us to our 2 main protagonists, or two bodybuilders, and then that middle episode really starts showing us what their relationship was like, and it feels like a proper conclusion built with an ending that kind of had a fruition to what I was satisfied with. It wasn't necessarily the ending that I wanted, but it was a realistic ending, showcased with footage of their life, and then showcased with the footage of where everybody is now that was affected from this, and it comes from the perspective of Sally. So the way it's put together is really interesting, because you have a perspective of what Sally did was absolutely wrong, and then you hear the story of how she got there, and then it leaves you with was the jail time that she got from the murder right? Is that actually what it should be? And then brings up the question, in today's kind of law and order, the way it is, and they even kind of answer it with a number of people in the documentary, is if this was tried today, would she have had that same sentence? And then seeing where she is and how she's going on with life today was very interesting, with the juxtaposition of where we started. It's a very interesting case, because it goes from a real love story to a harrowing, kind of just brutally honest story of what was going on in their marriage, and then you are there, I guess, for the ride with the footage, kind of seeing those interviews as well with the family, and how sometimes this spurs on a chaotic nature, but it's chaos, but it follows this pattern, and you see how this kind of sickness really follows in the family, which was even more devastating to watch. I thought it was really interesting to watch, but it was quite dark. It just continues to get darker, but the fruition, I think, if you stick it out until the end, you'll find it that it's worth that story. If you wanted to know more about it, it's fascinating more than anything, and gives you an insight into that story. I think there's probably been other versions of this, but I do think this is put well together, especially as it's coming from Sally's words mostly. I mean, everything has a skewed agenda, because whatever director is doing it, they have a perception for themselves, they have their own agenda and their own story to tell. So whenever you're watching a documentary, you do have to step back and watch it from a total lens of seeing it all put together. But for me, this feels like it's pretty clear and cut as to the story it's telling, with the evidence that is shown to us as an audience, and you got to go on that ride and decide for yourself, and I think it does that well. We have that nice beginning, middle and end, quite a good fruition, and the storytelling device in the documentary with the miniseries that it is well told. So I'm going to give this 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one.
Not the most riveting, but pretty dark, and I don't think it outstays its welcome like a lot of Netflix documentaries do. So, you know, this is better than some of them I've seen. Not the best, but quite interesting as a one-time watch. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.